It's October 1st, 2017, which means it's time once again for Roaring Camp Railroad's annual Harvest Fair and Steam Festival. It's 9:30 in the morning, and steam is already rising above the Roaring Camp Railroad's engine house as the crew readies all four of Roaring Camp's narrow-gauge steam locomotives for the day's event. Engine number 7, the Sonora, is being readied to pull Roaring Camp's regular Bear Mountain steam train excursions, while the other 3 locomotives will be on display as part of the Steam Festival. In addition to the usual participants in Roaring Camp's Steam Festival, there are a few new attractions this year, such as this disconnect log car. We will be taking a look at everything new in this year's Steam Festival throughout the duration of this video. Now hot and ready to go, the engines begin to move out of the engine house for the day's event. As Shay number 1, the Dixiana, moves out of the engine house, we will follow the engine down to Roaring Camp Depot, where the engines will be on display throughout the day. Now down at Roaring Camp, the engines simmer on Sawmill siding as number 7 arrives to pick up its train. After the conductor cuts in the air, the crew will perform an air brake test on the train, and then move into the depot to pick up the passengers for the first run of the day. After number 7 clears the depot, number 1 and engine number 3, the Kahuku, move into the depot for display. For the second year in a row, Roaring Camp's steam-powered sawmill engine was turned over with steam to show visitors what it was like when lumber was cut with steam power. The sawmill would need a complete rebuild in order to cut lumber again. However, turning the mill engine over gives visitors the chance to see just a small part of the sawmill still in operation. Steam for powering the mill engine was once supplied by an adjacent donkey engine, which is no longer in operation. Today, steam is fed to the mill engine through a flexible steam hose. This hose is connected to the boiler on Heisler locomotive number 2, the Tuolumne. The Tuolumne holds the distinction of being the oldest operating Heisler locomotive in the world, as well as being the last steam locomotive to ever operate on the famed West Side Lumber Company. One of the newest sights at Steamfest is this disconnect log car. Built by the Roaring Camp shop crews from parts behind the Roaring Camp shop, these two disconnect trucks can be used not only to show how logging railroads hauled lumber, but they can also be used to haul dead trees off of Bear Mountain. The log car was being hauled around by engine number 3, the Kahuku, an 042T plantation locomotive from Hawaii, which has now been christened as a logging locomotive. It's just after noon as the display engines move back into sawmill siding, awaiting the arrival of engine number 7 returning from her 11 o'clock trip. As number 7 makes her return to Roaring Camp, the passengers get a spectacle of steam power at its finest, with a meet between 4 locomotives under steam. As number 7 departs Roaring Camp on her 12:30 trip to Bear Mountain, we move away from the railroad side of things and take a look at what Kinetic Steamworks has brought to the Roaring Camp Steam Festival. The Kinetic Steamworks display featured a steam-powered belt drive system, which was powering items such as printing presses, a butter churn, and even a player piano. But the mainstay of Kinetic Steamworks' display was Pappy, a 1917 case steam-powered traction engine that has been lovingly restored by the Kinetic Steamworks crew. At the end of the day, once most of the visitors had left, the Roaring Camp crew started having a little bit of fun. Now, I will admit these aren't the best shots as they were recorded with my iPhone. I was on the clock and Paul was filming most of this video. But the first thing we did was run this DAC winch engine, which was just recently rebuilt by the Roaring Camp shop crew. Now, the end of the day held what I think was the climax of the event. Yeah, I know that was bad, but this is a climax locomotive that has been sitting behind the Roaring Camp shops for many, many years. A few of us came in on our days off and worked on this locomotive and got it to the point where we could use a steam hose from another locomotive to turn the engine set over on steam. Here, number 2, the Tuolumne, has a steam hose connected up from it to the climax, and we're actually running the climax engine on steam. The hope is to one day restore this locomotive. This was a proof of concept to see if it would actually turn over on steam. A non-profit group is in formation with the goal of restoring this locomotive, and hopefully in the near future we can begin to work on this locomotive and bring it back to life. We hope you have enjoyed this Tree Frog Flag production. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook. Thanks for watching.